Hello, Christopher Gillingham. Saying hi, Tom and Julia and the FOSI. Gordon Smith checking in from soggy Denmark. You lovely lot. Norm Roots watching. Norm, nice to see you back on. It's been a while. Eric Stordahl, Alex Hayworth was among the first on. Got quite a show here, as you can see in the agenda for today's show here that we're now using on our cover slide during the pre-show. Pedro Foiling Sailor down in Oz. Wet Hog is on again. It's nice to see you back.
Yes.
In Annapolis. Rob Sternstein in Boston. Michael Colcliffe in Port Stevens, Australia. Jay Rendell up in snowy Minnesota. Who else? It's all wet down under. Pedro Foiling Sailor is saying. Mark Wharton Reed in Grand Rapids, Michigan, a beautiful city on the west side of the state. As we get this one underway. Welcome.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon from San Francisco Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, where it's kind of a chilly, windy, partly rainy day, isn't it, Julia?
Yeah, it's supposed to be really cool today.
Well, it is. I haven't been outside because I've been in a mad dash to prepare this show for you all today. It's a bit of a momentous day. I hope it's not going to turn out to be too momentous.
Me too.
We just heard the President Biden speak. What, were you impressed?
No.
Oh, you weren't.
Sorry.
Well, we are going to talk about that a little bit because it's going to affect all of us to some degree, whether it's just gas prices and economics and, stock markets and whatever. We are going to have to get into that. Welcome to our show number 498.
Yay!
For the 22nd of February, I'm your host, Tom Eamon. As you know, my co-host, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, Ms. Julia Vedican. Julia, you're looking fine. In fine fettle today with your quite bright scarf.
Yes.
And is any significance to that one?
No, not really.
It goes well with a black dress.
Yeah.
If I'd had a yellow shirt, I might have worn a yellow shirt today to show a little solidarity with our friends in Ukraine. But we'll see. Let's see how that's all going. Let's get right into it here at the starting line. This nice photo by Chris Ray, who's a good friend of ours here in San Francisco. Belvedere in the background. That's a shot off the front of St. Francis Yacht Club, looking north from the North Shore here, the city, up to the North Bay, and a start of the Canars on a Wednesday night race. And
there's a Canar.
There's a Canar. There's a crouton. Maybe a crouton. The headline here so far seems to be Harvard economist and former Obama advisor says Russia is, quote, basically a big gas station and is otherwise, quote, incredibly unimportant in the global economy.
Interesting.
I hope, I don't know how, none of us knows how this is going to play out, but obviously we're going to pay some attention to it because it's going to affect, just like COVID did for the last 2 years.
Yep.
It's going to affect all of us in the sport. Now, I heard this from FOSI Matt Suzuki who has spent a lot of time in Moscow. He's worked in Moscow. He's now safe and sound in France. He says, I was talking with him back and forth. He says, by the way, filled up the fuel tank for the furnace today at their home. I think he's in France. 1,200 euros of heating oil, 20% more than late November fill up. Probably still a hell of a lot cheaper than it will be next week. 120 euros per liter of heating oil. The British, just before we went there, put out, maybe earlier today, but British nationals should leave Ukraine immediately. There's been the confusion, the fog of war about whether Mr. Putin's forces have gone in or not, but obviously he has gone in to some degree. President Biden reacting to that just a few minutes ago. And, we also hear that we hear on the news, all diplomatic personnel from Russia are leaving the Ukraine. UKR is the Olympic code. So whether this is bluff and bluster or more, and whether he's just going to take over those eastern provinces, which are essentially Russian-speaking peoples, or whether he's going to go to Kyiv and beyond, who knows? But let's hope that sanity prevails, both in Russia and here in the U.S. and in China, because a lot of people speculating China will go take over Taiwan. And we hope that doesn't happen. Now, we have a good friend in Ukraine. He's a FOSI. You know who that is? Rodion Luka. We talked about him last night. Rodion Luka. Rodion is in Florida now. I talked to him yesterday, and he said, well, the good news is I'm in Florida. The bad news is, for my friends and family, I'm in Florida. He's been down there sailing his famously cool Luka 30 in Florida. And he is not only an Olympic yachtsman, from Ukraine. He's merited sports master, silver medalist at the Olympic Games 2004, 49er world champion in 05, European champion, yada. He's a hell of a good sailor and now a yacht designer and promoter of his Luka 30 sport boat. And he was elected president of the Sailing Federation of Ukraine in, I think, 2015. And he is in Florida, as I mentioned. They have been sailing their Luka 30 in the Helly Hansen. It's a good offshore one design, also a good double-hander. He was hoping that would be the double-handed boat if we had a double-handed offshore class in the Olympics. And he's pushing the boat, pushing the class, and they've had a good go of it in the Helly Hansen Sailing World Regatta. It used to be called the Nude National Offshore One Design.
I love Helly Hansen, but I'm sorry we're losing Nude.
Only you. I'm going to wave my finger at you, Julia, in the nudity here on the sport. But that's where he is. That's why he's in St. Pete, and not St. Pete, Russia, but in St. Pete in Florida. And I'm pleased to say that Rodion Luka, will be our guest on Friday here on this show, live via Skype from, I'm not sure where in the world he will be. He's not sure either, but presumably still here in the States. Gosh, I better go to the comments, Julia, because there's already so many. Rodion Luka, John Emmett, yeah, he knew who that was right away. Nobody has been killed so far. Yeah, there have been a few losses of life, Stingray, but hopefully it's not a big deal. Wet Hog says, I just ordered heating oil to top off my tank in case prices keep going up. A big Clark Chapin saying, a big gas station, do they give green stamps? He's got to be the only person on here besides you and me who even remembers green stamps.
I know. I still have a book in case anybody needs them.
Can you cash them in?
I don't think so. Until a while ago, I did. But I was a big user of them.
Well, in green stamps, I was too. I used to collect them as a kid. Then you'd go get the world's first, I guess, affinity program, at least modern affinity program. Blake Middleton cheers from the land of 10,000 frozen lakes where the snow is coming down. Yeah, Blake, we're going to talk about Blake and Aaron Burry in a minute. Make note, he held off until the Winter Olympics were over. Not a coincidence, since Putin and Xi were cozying up before. Yeah, so that's one of the worries in all this, of course, that they have cozied up. We have a guy who is Ukrainian at our club, Bill Wingrove, is saying, yeah, their racing director at Davis Island Yacht Club is from Ukraine. He came over with the Around the World teams back in the late 80s and early 90s. Emmett is saying, replying to Bill Wingrove, yes, I expected. And to be fair, Emmett predicted the 21st, that's when they move after the Olympics and before, as we said on this show, before the ground thawed.
Yeah.
Because they got to move their tanks and them armored personnel carriers and so on. The L-30 sailed the DIYC, the Davis Island Yacht Club Commodores Cup, also, Bill Wingrove is saying. Steve Atkins just returned from 10 days in southern Florida. Very few masks in sight. Yep, hi from Miami. Fritz Muller's down there. Rob Sternstein. I have a bunch of green stamp books from my grandmother. Nice, Rob. Chris Exley, S&H green stamps. Haven't heard about them for 40 years. Well, Chris, you never know what you're going to hear about on this show, old or new. Nudity to green stamps. Julia could offer her green stamp books on eBay and see if she gets any offers. Locally, we had plaid stamps. I remember plaid stamps too, Mark Curtis.
I don't.
Yeah, I remember hearing about plaid stamps. Okay, so we're delighted to have Rodion on the show on Friday live via Skype, and I think he's still the president. He was, and I think he still is the president of Ukrainian Yachting Federation, and he no doubt will have some insight. Now, I have in the last 12 to 24 hours spoken with a number of you, particularly in Europe. One friend, not really a FOSI, but a sailing friend in Moscow, to kind of get the lay of the land. And I couldn't get anybody to come on today, sort of on behalf of, not on behalf of Russia, but on behalf of the Russian situation, trying to, they don't want to, no one wants to get crosswise with President Putin.
No.
So we will see what Rodion Luca has to say on Friday with all of that. Now, speaking of Blake Middleton and Aaron Burry, this show we did, a week ago, continues to have legs,
Yes.
long legs. It's really getting a lot of nice ink, a lot of views.
Yeah.
And this is the two of them. They were on our show. If you haven't seen that, go look at it.
Yes, it was a terrific show.
It was indeed. And of course, they're Minnetonka and Wayzata yacht clubs. And the show was about ice boating, particularly the DN, am I stuttering? The Detroit News, as it was originally known. And some good news here is that Erin is getting so many questions in her inbox. She told me this morning, and last night actually, and this morning I talked to her again. We're going to do a follow-up Q&A show with Erin, with just anything you ever wanted to know about ice boating, and do a Q&A with Erin in due course. I don't know if it's going to be next week but sometime soon, sooner than later. And she's agreed to do that and delighted to do it. And she's also very pleased with all the uptake she has been getting since that show.
I said before, I thought I knew a little bit about ice boating, and I now know that I knew nothing about it.
Well, exactly. And like most sports, they're very technical, highly technical, and particularly ice boating. You know, it's not just go out there and push the thing and get going and sheet in and go. It's quite interesting. This is Erin on her boat, 5397, and she's now featured in an article that came out on the Quantum Sailing website yesterday. An element of challenge exists in every type of sailing, and it's the thirst for this challenge that unites us and makes us sailors. For those of us who live in the colder climes, we've had to find a more unique way to scratch that wind-powered thrill itch. The answer, ice sailing, also known as ice yachting or ice boating. We didn't resolve that, Julia. I'm forever going to call it ice boating because that's just what we called it growing up when I had an ice boat. Each winter, hundreds of sailors take to the frozen lakes in search of the perfect run and that perfect rush. One such sailor is quantum-powered Minnesota native Aaron Burry, don't call me Barry, Burry. A year-round sailor, she embodies the challenger mentality with a zest for adventure. Read on as Aaron gives us a firsthand look into this awesome sailing subculture and what drives her in an article entitled Ice Sailing, the Frigid Equalizer. And that's Aaron featured on the quantumsails.com website. I commend it to you. Go have a look. It's a terrific piece. And as I said, we'll do a Q&A with Aaron here coming up. So if you have questions, send them to us, send them to her. If you've got her contact information, I'm sure you can find it. And we'll get it to her, and we will do that Q&A. Speaking of the Detroit News.
Oh, look at that.
This came during our show on Friday.
Oh.
This news came out. In fact, Mark Reed sent that to us, I think, while we were on the air. I didn't catch it, or maybe we mentioned it on the show. But thanks to Mark for sending that. That is the famous Oakland Hills Country Club, where if you're a sailor and a golfer in Michigan, in fact, that's been the venue, the club, for any number of PGA titles and championships over the years, but it went up in flames. Long, old, beautiful, historic course. Mark Reed, thanks for that tip. And by the way, Mark Reed is working. He has become, Julie, we have a new, like Clark Chapin is our navigator, and we got John Emmett, our Olympic contributor. Right. Mark Reed is our new investigative reporter.
Oh, good.
For TFE Live, for
terrific.
Our show. And he is in the midst of doing an investigation on a topic that came up here in a previous show. And I'm not going to say what it is, but he's on the project and is very nearly got to the bottom of this investigation.
And you're not going to tell us what it is?
No, I'm not. And he's going to submit a video for the show
in due course.
In due course. Mark Wharton Reed. So thanks, Mark, for that. Now, Julia, do you know what day it is today?
I do.
What?
2222.
How did you know?
2222.
It is Tuesday. Interesting that it showed up on a Tuesday. Tuesday, 2022. I'm not. Are you a numerologist?
No. I've tried to do it, but it's never quite worked for me.
Me neither. I think this is a bunch of hooey. But you do read the bloody
Horoscopes.
Horoscopes.
And I believe them when I like them, and I don't believe them when I don't like them.
I know you send me down mine from the Commodore's suite whenever you like it, at least.
Well, yeah, whenever you have a good reading coming up, yeah.
Well, it is Tuesday, 22. Oh, if you're European or at least non-American, 22/02/2022 is the way most other countries, the states, we put the month ahead of the date. Most other places in the world, they put the date ahead of the month. So this is Happy Tuesday, which is both a palindrome and I admit to never having heard this word, ambrig. Is it
Ambigram.
Ambigram? Is it with an R? Did I mistype that? Is it ambigram or ambigram? I think it's bigram. Ambigram. Now, you know what a palindrome is, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And a palindrome, all of these are palindromes. They read the same way in
Forward and
both
backwards.
directions.
Yeah.
Not only today's date, if you're dating it as most of the rest of the world does, was it a car or a cat I saw? No melon, no lemon. Yo, banana boy. But it's also an ambigram. Is it I think it is ambigram. I think this lower third is correct. Ambi meaning like
two ways.
Yeah, like ambidextrous. And of course, it reads the same upside down.
Oh my goodness.
That's what that means. And I had never read upside down.
Look at that.
Now, was that cool?
Yeah.
You got to have an instant replay. Ambigram reads up same way, upside down. I worked really hard on that this morning. Obviously, I had too much time preparing the show to do that.
Yeah.
But, this is not all that unusual. See that date? December, if you do the American style of dating, that's December 2nd, 2021. That's not too long ago. So these things come up, and this is just a lot of hooey. And in a mirror, Phil Walker is saying, yeah, that's true. Summer Olympics in China began with their lucky numbers palindrome. The date was 8/8/88. It's also my birthday, Stingray says. Nice. Baton Rouge, Baton Cannon saying it reads the same, capsized. Chris actually, yeah, it's ambigram, I think. I apologize. I had the lower third was wrong in that first one. Aaron Berry's on saying, thanks for plugging my article. It's a nice article, Aaron. Congratulations. Bravo Zulu. Morris Stevens, I feel so bad for the Oakland Hills Country Club. Yeah, historic old place. And when a club like that, or a yacht club like Annapolis Yacht Club, when it burned some years ago, that's just
so sad.
Really sad news. I flipped that number around too. But you also know what day it is, because I told you last night.
Yes.
And we thought about, you shake your finger at Gordon Smith. You see what his comment is? Shake your finger at him.
I just have no idea what he
69,
means.
just saying. AC/DC goes both ways. J. Frederick Bland. Come on, Julie, we'll both shake our fingers at them. Help me here. Come on, look, croutons. Today is also, it's an international holiday because it's not just the U.S., it's Mexico and I guess Canada and maybe, I don't know where else. It's, at least in this country, National Margarita Day. It's on February 22nd every year, rims a glass with salt and serves up a beverage that tastes like the summer sun. We're all just sailing in the summer and margaritas, whether you enjoy them on the rocks or blended. This day is for you. Known to be the most common tequila-based cocktail served in the U.S., margarita is a cocktail that consists of tequila, triple sec, and lime or lemon juice. It's got much better with lime, I think.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Absolutely.
A key ingredient is the freshly squeezed lime juice. In the U.S., the most common lime is thick. I'd never heard of this. A thick-skinned Persian lime. When the margaritas are made with lemons, they have a much softer taste. Now, Julia.
All right.
Do you know from whence the margarita supposedly came, where it was invented? And this is the sailing connection to all this.
Well, a bar in
spit it out. You knew it. You knew it last night.
I know. I can't.
Just south of San Diego.
No.
Just south of San Diego.
Yeah.
You knew it last night when
I know. It's just over the border.
Ensenada.
Oh, what? Ensenada.
This bar in Ensenada called Whose Songs, Cantina Whose Songs in Ensenada, just south of San Diego, about 60 miles or so, is a famous watering hole for sailors. Whose Songs Cantina also claims to have been the site of the margarita's creation. in Ensenada, down in Baja California. In 1941, bartender Don Carlos Orozco, reputedly named a new drink after the Mexican-German patron Margarita Henkel Cesena, a frequent customer of the cantina. Cesena was a ranch operator by trade, and it is disputed whether she was the daughter of a German ambassador, as the story claims, whose songs, however, has enjoyed widespread popularity as the home of the original Margarita. And let me tell you, it is a cool spot. How do I know? It's because it is the Sailors' Hangout. It's a photo I took there not too long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And this is what the place looks like on the night that we get to Ensenada at the end of the very popular Newport to Ensenada race. And everyone goes there. That's the Sailors Bar. There's no yacht club. There's a hotel where a lot of people, most everybody stays, but whose songs is hugely popular at the end of the Newport to Ensenada race, which this year will be run starting April 22nd. It is the 75th anniversary of this cool race.
Oh, good.
It's from Newport Beach, California. As I said, it's not a very onerous race. If you're on a quick boat and there's any breeze, you're down there by midnight, leave at noon, down there at midnight, sailing down the coast, past Dana Point, past San Diego, past Tijuana, and then into Ensenada. It gets really tricky in the last few miles going into Ensenada. But if you're on a slower boat, you might, and there's no wind, you might not get there until sometime the next day. And there's now 3 courses. This race actually has 3 different courses, so that lasers can sail the short course. Kids, I don't think optimists, but lasers down to Dana Point. Some boats sail to San Diego and then turn in and go there, and then have to deal with the border back and forth and passports and all that stuff. Although the Mexican and U.S. governments both have it streamlined, so it's quite easy. And the bigger boats and more serious racers carry on to Ensenada, and a lot of them to Cantina Husongs, because it's a lot of fun. I commend that race to you if you're in the area and you can get a ride to help us all celebrate the 75th year. In fact, our FOSI, John Sangmeister, is the entries chairman or the co-entry chairman of that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think so. He doesn't.
And he's a famous purveyor of margaritas.
Well, at his restaurant in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he doesn't know I'm running this segment today, so. What comments did that, if any? Fin Nationals in L.A., ABYC, May 22nd. Okay, James. J. Frederick Bland, that's a month later. Newport, around the horn or through the canal. No, Newport, Mark Curtis, that's from Newport Beach. Sorry, here in the West Coast, we say Newport. On the East Coast, Newport means Newport, Rhode Island. Here on the West Coast, Newport to most of us. I mean, I think of Newport, Rhode Island. I always say Newport Beach or Orange County, but that's an affectation of us West Coasters these days. Newport Beach, California, down in Orange County, just between LA and San Diego. Replying to Judy, only if your master good. I'm having a segmented cocktail as we speak. If you multiply the date by 2, then divide the answer by, you get the. Okay, Jody Shields. Enough of all that. Were there any other comments, Julia, that we missed up above that are Airlie Beach Online? John Cadwaller. Hello, John Philip Cadwaller. Wards off scurvy. What's not to like? Clark Chabin is saying about a margarita. Although I know Clark prefers your cocktail, Julia. You know what? He's a big martini aficionado. Clark Chapin is. Okay. Yes, not Barry. Burry, we call her. Burry. Aaron Burry. Okay. I've got a Bravo Zulu here. And again, we're all over the map. Some of it sailing, some of it not. But you remember that last Friday, well, it was last week, we gave a Bravo Zulu to this team, the Canadian women's hockey team, who won the gold medal and beat the U.S. And we Bravo Zulu'd them. And I thought it was only fair that we then Bravo Zulu'd the Brits in curling, because it's the first time the Brits have ever won a medal in this sport. It's silver, but nonetheless, very cool. Where's my video?
It had everything that an Olympic final should. Tension, tactics, and the prayers of a nation back home. In the tightest of games, Bruce Mowat took it to an extra end. but the Swedes are world champions, and they are led by
I know how
Nicholas
serious it
Edin,
is.
now the greatest
But
curler
it looks.
of all time.
We're absolutely gutted, but coming off getting the medal put around their neck, and then seeing the message on our phones, and it's really comforting to see all that support back home.
The medal looks quite good around our necks. It's the wrong colour, but it's silver and it's heavy, and we're all very, very happy.
We are young. We're obviously looking to the future. We want to be back here in 4 years' time, so we're going to give it everything we've got.
At Curl Edinburgh, where Bruce Mowat started aged 8, his other half could barely watch.
This has been Bruce's dream since he was 10. So to get their medal, it's absolutely amazing. He's done so well. He'll look back at him however long it takes him, and he'll be so proud of himself to have got there and achieved what he's done.
So much goes into getting on a podium, but this team have earned their moment, a first Olympic medal for each of them.
Win or lose, I knew there was always going to be tears this morning. Everyone's so proud of the team here in Edinburgh and all across Scotland.
You saw Bruce there on the TV. Obviously they're upset, but they'll come back, and they're still a young team.
First medal, which is fantastic, and we've got another one to come. So curling is the way forward.
And already, this beguiling spectacle of a sport is enjoying a surge of newcomers.
Scotland's curlers have rescued these Winter Games for Team GB. After a series of disappointments, that silver medal is now on the board, and the women's curling team goes next for gold.
Eve Muirhead is at her 4th Olympic Games. Her side faced Japan in the early hours of Sunday. The final day of these games, one last shot at the elusive gold. Tom Parmenter, Sky News, Edinburgh.
Julia, they're getting all sorts of comments, and you, during the start of that, I don't think you knew your mic was up. You started to say something that maybe was not very nice about curling, Julia.
No, I wish I understood more about it.
Well, I have had to learn because my wife's mother was a curler. She's Canadian and my wife's Canadian. But the point is that I thought it was like shuffleboard. You had to get all of your rocks as close as possible, or as many of your rocks as possible, to the center of the target, which they call the button. It's not the case. The whole point is to get your one rock versus the other team's one rock closest to the button when all is said and done, after they've tossed their 5 rocks. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Considering it started in Scotland, I'm surprised they only now fielded a world competition quality team, Mark Curtis is saying. Morris Stevens, who of course is Canadian. The curling was fantastic. It is so nice to see strong teams from many nations at the Olympics. Indeed. J. Frederick Bland, bring back Eddie the Eagle. Ice rocking anybody, Stingray is saying. Gordon Smith, Team GB spent 20 million pounds. Is that right? 20 million pounds to earn 1 gold medal. Well, did they have a gold medal? They had a silver medal. I watched way too much curling this past Olympics. Wet Hog is saying. Well, Julia, those are some of the other comments, but it was kind of a cool thing to watch. Did you watch some of it?
Not this year.
We didn't watch much Olympics, did we?
No.
Nobody did here in the States, but I did watch some of the curling, and I watched last time too. But in Beijing, we should also bravo Zulu, the Swede gold medalist, since we have a lot of Swedes on here watching the show, Nicholas Edin, who is apparently, he cemented his position as one of the greatest curlers of all time when he led Sweden to an extra end victory over the aforementioned Brits in the men's final on Saturday to finally add Olympic gold to his glittering collection of titles. Sweden clinched their first men's Olympic curling gold medal after outplaying Britain 5-4 at the National Aquatic Center in a tensely fought tactical battle, with Edin reading the ice to near perfection to maintain the upper hand. And as a couple of you suggested, and you're reading my minds, we should bravo Zulu also Norway, who topped the medal table with a total of 37 medals, 16 gold, 8 silver, 13 bronze, followed by the ROC. You know who that is?
Yes.
They can't call themselves, this is so croutonic. If you're going to ban them from the Olympics, I understand you don't want the athletes to be hurt, but either they're competing for Russia or they're not, and broom all those Olympic Committee officials who are cheaters and worse, but they're still able to compete for the ROC, the Russian Olympic Committee. I suppose that flags it so anybody who knows the story about the drugs and the doping will say, oh, they're not really they're not sailing. They're not competing for Russia. They're competing for the ROC because of the doping. Mm-hmm. Germany third, Canada fourth, and the U.S. fifth in the medal count. Bravo Zulu to Norway. And before we leave the Olympics now, the next one, of course, will involve our sport in 2024, Paris, with the sailing in Marseille. And already there's a controversy, as you Brits and Aussies and Kiwis would say, Canadians maybe too, about the logo for 2024.
I am the emblem of Paris 2024, and this is my face. My face was born from the union of three symbols. The gold medal, unchanging, like determination, dazzling like talent, eternal like victory. The Olympic and Paralympic flame, which brings people together through the values of sport, beyond borders, nations, and generations, and burns inside the world's greatest athletes. Marianne, who upholds the imperative for everyone to advance, whose French spirit reveals an ambition to be egalitarian, sharing, and generous. A face that places humans at the heart of the games. The gold medal, the flame, Marianne, united for the first time in history under the same Olympic and Paralympic identity. I am the emblem of Paris 2024.
Now, I was going to run that in corrector Crutonic because it has caused so much controversy. People are likening it to this, the Grinch who stole Christmas. I guess that's the Grinch. Wet Hawk says, what's the problem? It looks like a hot lady with great hair. Well, that's what I want all of you to do. Tell me what that logo looks like. It looks like lips to me. Mm-hmm. A hot lady with flaming hair, I guess. Well, they've also compared it to the Tinder logo. Now, Julie, you know Tinder, right?
I do.
You don't sound pleased.
I'm not part of Tinder. Sorry.
That's if you were, you'd be getting even more phone calls on on your watch during the show. Woo. So I don't know if it looks like Tinder, but I guess it does a little bit. The logo looks fine to me. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's kind of cool. I get it. I thought that video was superb. I thought it was a very interesting video. I don't know what you think. Steve Gruber saying it reminds me of That Girl. Yeah, that television show. Nice. I like it, Gordon Smith. I agree, Gordon. I like it. What's the problem? Yeah, we said Wet Hog. And Luca Craig is saying, due to time difference, New Zealand was able to watch most of Winter Olympic finals live. The biathlon is my favorite. Would like to have a go at curling. Looks quite technical. Yeah, it looks cool. Good logo for women competitors. Ted Ryman in Cape Town, South Africa, saying. Julia, before I leave the Olympics, we're going to go to John Emmett's report next because that seems to be the right order of things today. Did you see about the I guess it was cross-country skiing, wasn't it? In very, very, very cold, windy conditions, and the gentleman supposedly had frost. I mean, this is all headlines. I didn't put it in the show because I knew you would shake your finger at it.
Yes.
But he supposedly crossed the finish line and had frozen extremities, shall we say, including that extremity.
Oh.
I know.
Awful.
It was awful. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Good logo for women. I like the logo. I think it's okay.
I got confused by it.
You don't like it?
I like it, but it doesn't send a message to me.
Well, maybe it fires up. Yeah, Wet Hog, I was just saying, he said, how about you must have comment crossed with my comment. How about the cross-country skier who froze his pod? His extremity, one of his extremities. Okay, enough of all that. We go back to not shaved. There, I said it, Gordon Smith said. Okay, let's carry on with the Olympics and our report from our good friend, our FOSI John Emmett, in the segment we call Train Hard, Sail Easy with our master mentor, John Emmett, reporting in from the UK.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI. Just a short one today. actually today. I spent most of my day doing admin. In fact, you may have noticed there's been some quite strong breeze around the UK recently, and I think because of this, it's the longest time I've had on the water for quite a while. But the good thing, because of course every cloud has a silver lining, it has forced me to sit down and do the admin, those delightful 12-month calendars on Excel spreadsheets and booking, flights, ferries and so on. In fact, the only dates I don't think I have at the moment is for the Marseille, which is the World Sailing World Cup. And I'm sure everybody on the Olympic circuit is going to be keen to do big regattas that test the Olympic venue, because by the time that comes around, it will be only 2 years to the next Olympic Games. The one doubt I have in my mind is the Ilka 6 Worlds in China, but I doubt we'll know much more about that till perhaps 2 months before. So hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And that's it really for today. I think it's always good to do things sooner rather than later if you have the chance. I certainly feel much more relaxed when I know everything is prepared. And it's much harder to do things when you're away on the circuit. If for nothing else, you might not have the reliable internet to sort things out. Next month is really the start of the competition, and really looking forward to going to Palma. So you'll start to see some reports away from home. Hopefully the sound quality, etc., will be good, but we'll see how that goes. And on Friday, we're going to have a special report about the Baltics. I say it wasn't really much surprise what's happened in the world scene, but of course sailing must go on, and really looking forward to a far more normal season than we've had in previous years. So enjoy the show and see you in a bit.
Thank you, John Emmett. I hope you're right. I hope, as I said in the lead into the show, after 2 years of corona croutonicism, we're not going to, this so-called European instability, I hope that's all it is a little incursion and instability, and does not lead to more than that. But I wasn't around, Julia, in 1914, nor were you, when things led from one thing to another. Before you knew it, you were in trench warfare in Europe, and it was just pretty bloody awful.
We have such better communication these days. It's either going to be a lot better or a lot worse.
Most everybody downplays it, especially talking with Rodi and Luca.
Yeah.
He really wasn't too concerned about it. Talking to a few others, most people are saying, Putin may go in. I said, excuse me, he's already gone in. Our reports are. By the way, you remember our FOSI, I won't name him, but remember our FOSI who's been on the show, who is a security analyst now and consultant in the Washington, D.C. area. He's a little more concerned than most of us, but maybe that's his job. What'd you think of John's his look today? Nobody's commenting?
Well, it's all right. It's a vacation look.
Exactly. And I think he said it, first time he's had many days on the water. I think he meant off the water.
Off the water, right.
Thank you, John Emmett. Terrific job, as usual. Comments here. John's commenting, say, UK is normal now. Yeah. Bojo, Boris Johnson's removed all of your, I guess, requirements, COVID-related requirements. Things are getting back to normal in Oz. Not so much in New Zealand yet. Canada still is a mess. My guess is this year's Nord Stream race is canceled, Phil Walker's. Yeah, thanks, John. Nice. It is nice. Looking forward to your Marseille coverage, too, Stingray is saying. Indeed, we all are. Thanks again, John Emmett, our super FOSI, and our, from the I guess, mentoring is what he's doing for all of us, really, keeping us posted on Olympic matters. If you're just joining us, we're about 40 minutes into show number 498 for the 22nd of February. Thank you and welcome. This day in history, 22nd of February, and we could have done some America's Cup stuff. There were some, but this really, apropos what's going on in the global scene right now, I thought this was interesting because it was also 50 years ago today. Here's your first clue. You know who that is, Julia?
Yes.
You know where that is?
On Air Force One.
Indeed. President Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger.
Right.
50 years ago today, en route to China, as Trump would have said. Remember
I
that?
was going to say it was too.
He opened up China to the West. Everybody was shocked and amazed when he announced this about 6 to 8 months before that he was going to go to China, ping pong diplomacy and all that. There's Pat Nixon in the beautiful red coat. Next to him, Zhou Enlai, the premier at the airport. That's Mao Zedong. It's hard to believe. Those of you who are young and don't remember all this. Yeah, Stingray says Nixon to China. Gordon Smith says Nixon to China. They've got all this, right? Chris Exley, of course. Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's a bit of an historic photo. Mao didn't last much longer after that occasion. Of course, Zhou Enlai was in charge. There he is. Now, I think this is hilarious, Julia, because where is John Emmett?
Yeah, it doesn't.
And Lily could have taught the
he
president.
needed a little help. Yeah,
he looks like he's damn confused about what to eat and how to eat it. Wouldn't have he taken lessons at least?
Oh yes.
Hey, we've been using chopsticks all our lives, right?
Yeah.
Chinese food, Asian food tastes better with chopsticks.
It does.
I just thought that photo was hilarious.
I love it.
Mao had motor neuron disease. Yeah. Well, I need help with those chopsticks. There's the co-speech. They raised toasts in the Great Hall on this day. Well, it was a few days after this day in history, but in 1972, Richard Nixon meets with Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai in Beijing, rapprochement, and an era of good feelings, and until it looks now like China has teamed up with Russia against the West, against the U.S., and maybe more. And we'll see how that all goes. This is Joe Holtzman. Thank you, Joe, for that comment. Joe's a great sailor. Nice to have him on. Mm-hmm. The introduction of Pepsi Cola, Rob Sternstein is saying.
That's not true.
Well, no, that's Pepsi was.
Oh, they were introducing it to China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Pepsi was helping to pay for a lot of that because they wanted to get into China.
Yeah.
Kissinger was a wise man for sure.
Yes.
Henry the K. He was also a ladies' man, Julia.
Well, and he fancied himself as a ladies' man.
He did indeed. Were you attracted to him?
No, I was to his head. I was, because I think he's brilliant. But,
did you ever meet him?
Yep. I was in Washington at the time.
Oh, you were in Washington, weren't you? You were in the Nixon White House.
I was.
You weren't there erasing the tapes, were you? What was her name? Somebody Woods, the secretary?
Yeah.
Mary Ann or Mary something Woods?
Yeah.
You weren't helping her erase the tapes.
I was not.
Now, come on, look over here at your camera. We want to see your eyes when you say
I was
that.
not.
You're looking at your monitor over there.
Yeah.
And we want to see right into your Untervier-Augen, as the Germans, as Henry Kissinger would have said, under four eyes. See what you're saying. Let's move to the American Cup boat race, as Julia hates it when I call it that. The American...
I do.
Rosemary Woods, Clark Chapin.
Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, Peter Taylor, he's on here. He's commenting. Peter Taylor has prepared another cool video segment. And just before the show got take 2. And it's really it's another report. I'm not even going to tease it. And I'll air that either Friday or next week.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
The last one was terrific.
It was terrific. And we've also got a cool guest next Tuesday on a subject that is near and dear. I'm not going to tease that. I'm teasing it, but I'm not going to spill the beans. Near and dear, well, I'll say to this extent, talking about how to get kids onto offshore boats at an early age. And that's next Tuesday.
Okay.
And of course, this Friday is going to be interesting with Rhodey and Luca. Back to the America's Cup. Okay, we've got to go to the comments first. So we'll have Peter Taylor's second edition. Meg Eamon taught me how to use chopsticks. My daughter, my esteemed mother, Janice F. Davis's granddaughter, Meg Eamon taught me how to use chopsticks when she was about 5 years old. I took her to a Chinese restaurant and she asked for chopsticks. Well, it's because we were living in Europe then, and we ate Chinese a lot just because that was the only thing that was open on, especially in Spain, it was the only thing that was open on all these holidays. Germany, too, if you had a Christian holiday, the Chinese restaurants were open, but not much of anything else. So we'd go to Chinese, and Meg knew how to wield her chopsticks at an early age. Henry was the model. Henry Kissinger was the model for what movie character and movie title? Well, Dr. Strangelove, right? Yeah, Gordon Smith got that. Oh, there it is. And everybody's got that. That was a hilarious movie, wasn't it, Julia?
Yes, I haven't seen it for such a long time. I've forgotten.
Speaking of hilarity, let's talk about the continuing, the venue madness that's going on in the Cup. But this is from a couple of interesting posts in the last 24 or 36 hours from Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. They put up this graphic recounting what they did with their team in AC36, 260 nautical miles sailed during the Prada Cup, and comparing that to the 53 nautical miles, 98-kilometer regatta around the Isle of Wight. I go to camera 4. So that's that comparison. And then 5 times around the Isle of Wight itself. I don't think can you see that graphic? Is that okay? I'll go back to that.
That's better.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
better. 8 hours, 51 minutes of racing time. And it was won by the New York Yacht Club that is in 1851. Flight time from it's about the same as the flight time these days from Collier to New York Yacht Club. I guess these are interesting numbers. The Prada Cup consisted of 4 rounds robin, semifinals and finals amongst challengers. Only 209 jibes, 209 tacks rather, 155 jibes. That, they say, is twice the maneuvers you would do in a race around the world.
Oh, that could be.
77% of races won by Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli in the Prada Cup. It's I don't know. I wasn't wild about the graphic. It was a bit confusing. Did you like that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one thing that came out from LRPP in the last couple of days. Then there is this TikTok. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's okay. They got to have some media, some content out there because there's not much else going on. Keep their names and their sponsors out there.
Right.
So that's the TikTok from LRPP. Now, on Friday, we played the first half of Mikkel Thomason's interview with Terry Hutchinson, who's been now renewed as a senior executive leader in New York Yacht Club's American Magic. And a lot of you asked if we would play the second half of it. Some of you struggle to find it, or you just want to watch it and comment on it all here together. So here is the second half of that interview, about 7 or 8 minutes long. T. Hutch with Mikkel Thomason of SailMagazineNet.no for Norway.
We retain the services of Scott Ferguson as design coordinator. And, inside of that, there's sitting here today, there's a week-long design team meeting going on right now in Newport. But we also have the services of Britt Ward and Pete Melvin for hall designers, and through both of their firms and through all the work that Scott's done, he's done an incredible job of assembling a group of designers that are not only experienced in the America's Cup but some young blood as well, which is exciting. And both Pete's offices and Britt's office, it's been fun to get guys that have incredibly successful careers designing boats and fast boats to come and be a part of something under the American Magic brand, not under Far Yacht Design or Melvin and Morelli, but as team members to American Magic. So I watch and listen and learn, and as always, as I was with Marcelino, I'm always impressed by what these guys talk about, because it's a different level, and you can see their genius at work.
I suppose that the mule is not going to be as important part of your program as it was, because that was to learn how to foil a monohull.
Yeah. Well, the AC40s. Yeah, the AC40s will replace the mule. We still have the mule. She's up in Rhode Island, and that's part of our American Magic history. So I'm not sure if she's going to go anywhere, but the AC40s will replace the mule.
You have another challenge, and that is the nationality program, where we were talking about the helmsman candidate before, Paul Goodison, who is British. How do you deal with that? Will he get an American citizenship in time?
He doesn't need to.
No,
the protocol.
Because there is a exemption for the people who have already been on the team.
Yeah, he's already been part of our team, so he's allowed to be part of our team going forward.
Is this going to be a challenge for you? Will you have enough American sailors to fill your team?
It's 325 million people. I'm pretty sure we can pick out a, you know, when you look at the list that I just read out to you, outside of Goody, everybody else is a U.S. citizen. So
you have to build one new boat, and that's all you are allowed to do. And so therefore,
correct.
Therefore, the timing of the build of this new boat is very critical.
Mm. Yeah.
What is the ideal time before the America's Cup itself is?
Well, you know, as I said earlier, we don't know the venue, so with the venue comes the date. And you know, the one of the things that's unique about this competition, because the Defender is going to compete in the part of the Challenger Selection Series, all the boats will be coming out roughly in the same time. I would expect, though, if you see a June America's Cup, you work back 5 months from there, and you're going to see teams taking delivery of their boats, you know, December, January, to give yourselves enough time to work the boat up, sea trial it, make it reliable, and learn it as fast as you possibly can. You know, it's always a balance. And you know, I think we learned in that in AC36, you know, the Defender didn't take delivery too much after we did of Patriot, and yet, you know, their opportunity to develop while the racing was going on, you know, that helped them. And yet Luna Rossa came out pretty strong on the racing side of it. So it's always a balance. You know, obviously boat speed wins, and but so does reliability and the sailor understanding of the yacht.
You think that the configuration of the boat will vary depending on where the races will take place? I mean, if you're
Yes.
if you're in Valencia, it's predominantly light winds, whereas in New Zealand it's heavier air, and if it's in Scotland, you know, there's the typical.
It's a great question, and for sure the boats would change from venue to venue. More so if you're sailing in the Med or in Ireland, you know, there's a lot more sea state, where in New Zealand it was reasonably flat water. And so, you know, I think you're going to, you know, you're going to see a different type of boat depending on what you're going to, you know, depending on where the venue is.
It was a very critical thing last time about getting on the foils and a minimum wind speed that was required to run the race. How do you see that? Will the boats be designed to foil more quickly, or will you require a heavier wind limit?
No, they've kept the bottom end wind limit the same, and they've reduced the top end by 2 knots. And so, you know, all the boats will be facing the same issue. You know, the boats have gotten lighter, the foil arms have gotten a little bit longer, so. But it'll be the same type of challenge. You know, interestingly, in AC36, the boat with the smallest foils was also the fastest maneuvering boat, and the boat could get out of the water. So that's a combination of a bunch of different things, not just the foils. You know, that's hull, that's aero, and the foil. So, you know, it is always a circular problem, because the bigger the foil, the more the drag. And you know, what you saw in that last regatta was 2 boats that were at opposite ends of the spectrum from a size in their foils, and yet the guy with the smaller foil, over the course of a 13 race regatta, you know, he just got faster and faster and won the regatta. So you're always going to make those decisions of designing what you think is fast, and then learning how to sail it. You know, without question, you're never going to make a slow foil fast if it's designed in that manner.
Obviously, you have more experience in that field now than you had beforehand, so it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be easier than before.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect summary. You know, because you have a little bit more knowledge, but you know, with some of that knowledge, you know, that's a dangerous thing as well, because you can probably overthink yourself sometimes as well. And in this one, you only get 3 foils, and they have to be the same family. So really, you know, you're going to do a lot of, you know, when you launch your boat with the set of foils that you have underneath it, from there you only have 1 spare, and they all have to be of the same family. So all the regattas being won in the next year.
Right. Well, Terry, you didn't give me a complete answer to what your own role was going to be. So I'm going to rephrase it. Considering your age and your white hair, what is your most...
Have you had a look in the mirror?
Yeah, but I'm not running for the America's Cup.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to do whatever I have to do to help the team to win.
Exactly.
And if that means
what is going to be your most comfortable role? Will you be tempted to be on the boat for the fun and for the experience, or do you realize now that your time has come to manage the thing from the shore?
I think we're incredibly lucky to have a great group of sailors that we've hired, and I'm going to stand by. I'm going to do whatever helps us to win the regatta. You know, on February 14th in 2022, and something's 29 months away. Probably a bit premature to make any hard decisions right now.
Well, Terry, I thank you very much for your comments and your time.
Thank you.
I look forward for a new interview in a year's time and to follow.
Yes, me too. It's great. It's great to see you. Great to see all the wall art on the background there.
Yeah, next time we should have an America's Cup yacht, but that's not going to happen, I suppose.
Yeah.
But good luck with your project, and we'll.
Thank you. It's great to catch up.
Yes, absolutely.
Take care.
Okay, T. Hutch, who I guess was in Annapolis Yacht Club, it looked like, when he did that interview with our good friend and FOSI. They're both FOSI. They've both been on the show a number of times. Mikkel Thomason from sailmagazinet.no. We commend to you their YouTube page, as well as their magazine site, which you can read in Norwegian and Swedish, and I think German, Spanish, French, and English. They have auto translations, little buttons to push if you want, but their YouTube page where they do put up any number of interesting things. Thanks, Mikkel, for letting us use both part 1 and part 2 of that interview. It was one interview on their site. Sail Magazinet, SEIL is the Norwegian spelling. Magazinet.no is the website, and their YouTube channel is youtube.com/sailmagazinet. Now, Julia, what did you think of all that?
Well, I love both of them, but
Terry's just so professional.
Oh, they both are, and considered, and makes you think as they should.
Gordon Smith saying, great interview. John Emmett, he also said June and no mention of year. Yeah, I'm still skeptical, John, as you know, that this thing is going to be able to be pulled off in 2024. And we're going to get to the venue in a moment. Steve Gruber's replying to Gordon Smith saying, I think 2 reasons. As far as I know, it takes a long time to change foils a day. The foils are super expensive. That's why they're having to commit to one set of foils and not be able to change them day to day like they did in Bermuda. What other comments? Stingray observing, I think that's correct too, Stingray, that behind ETNZ, American Magic had the next smallest foils. What other comments? Oh, I think the big news out of this, and we heard, I was not at liberty to say this. I'd known, and you remember we had Britt Ward on the show not too long ago, and he hinted then, or maybe it was offline when I was asking, hey, you going to get hooked up with American Magic? And he said, well, it's possible, but it's not a done deal yet. So the fact that Britt Ward, Far Yacht Design, and Pete Melvin of Melvin Morelli, or Morelli and Melvin, I can't remember, John Sengmeister will remind us, he's very close to them down in Newport Beach, Long Beach. That's great news. So you got 2 American designers and design firm, along with Scott Ferguson, with Ferg, involved with that team. Blake Middleton saying, when I ran the Heaven Can Wait race on Lake Macquarie down there in Wanji with Jody Shields, many sailors noted that because it was continuous laps around the islands and bays on the lake, they did far more tax jibes and sail changes than the Sydney Hobart race. Yeah. Awesome news. John Sangmeister agreeing about Britt Ward and Pete Melvin, who's a good friend of John's. And of course, Britt Ward's a longtime good friend of mine. Gordon Smith, Britt Ward, exclamation point. Stingray, Britt Ward, yay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good comments. Now let's go to the venue, shall we?
Yes.
And that is Malaga. And thanks to Stingray, who keeps sending me the news with Google translations. This is from La Opinión de Malaga, the leading paper. I believe it's the leading paper there. In the numbers of the Copa, this is a headline yesterday, of the Copa America in Malaga, the organizers need 72 million euros. The city council is drafting a collaboration agreement with the state, meaning Madrid, the board and the provincial council, to guarantee the solvency, quote unquote, and seriousness of the candidacy of the capital. The organizers of the 37th edition of the Cup, the club's Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron and Emirates Team New Zealand, have an annual budget for the celebration of the competition of 24 million euros, an annual budget. By extending the prep and celebration of the event for 3 years, the total budget reaches 72 million euros, as explained today by the mayor of Malaga, Francisco de la Torre, who has indicated that this amount covers the cost of the staff, between 60 and 70 technicians and engineers, as well as all the technological development that the team needs to compete.
Wow.
Malaga. There are some expenses of the organizing team that are around 24 million euros a year, and they want the city that does it to collaborate in those expenses, De La Torre added. To the extent that there are abundant private sponsorships, more than 30 million euros, which is what they contemplate in their budget forecast, we will be able to lower our effort, which is the rest of the budget they have for the 3 years. That is, that of the 72 million, at least 30 should be covered by private sponsorships, while the remaining 42 must be covered by public administrations, meaning the local, the city, the region, and the country, the national, where De La Torre includes national, regional, in addition to the Malaga Provincial Council. That is a big nut to swallow.
Oh, it is, and it's the time.
And the time, exactly, Julia, and the time remaining. We are trying to draw up an agreement which is being drafted that is sufficiently, here's the whole nut, the whole rub. We're trying to draw up, and I went back and read the Spanish, estamos tratando, we are trying to draw up an agreement which is being drafted that is sufficiently committed, serious, solvent, so that it gives the winning team peace of mind that these aids will be guaranteed by the seriousness of the Spanish administrations themselves, apart from the works. Okay, so apart from the improvements to the area. And there's the rub, is that if they don't have the guarantee, they're not going to get the venue.
Mm.
And they're saying, well, in that article and another one I'm about to show you, we can't get the venue unless we can't raise the money unless we're guaranteed of having the venue. So
Yes.
it is a catch-22, a classic catch-22.
Yes.
Right?
And both are probably true.
And both are indeed probably true. So that was by Ana I. Montañez, La Opinión de Málaga. That's that paper. Now in Sur, the Diario Sur we've been telling you about, it's an interesting picture they use, which obviously is from Bermuda. Valencia stands as Malaga's great competitor. So they're trying to gin up that paper is trying to gin up some regional jealousy, I guess. Valencia stands as Malaga's great competitor for the Copa America in 2020. This is an article out today. The other two applicants are Cork in Ireland and Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, although with fewer possibilities than the Spanish cities, this paper asserts. I don't know if you can read the fine print, but the organizers do not hide their interest in holding the next edition in Spain, they assert, meaning the Kiwis, once its natural venue, which would be Auckland in New Zealand, has ruled itself out, at least apparently, due to the high economic cost. So you see, Julia, they're saying Auckland's ruled themselves out because of the high economic costs, yet we're going to do it here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, look at the poor newspapers' coverage. It has a project for the dock where the competition sailboats would go and study on the regatta field. This, again, a Google translation. If the public does not like the high economic costs on the part of the sailors, it is seen as a place with a climate that is too cold and humid, in addition to having little urban life and little leisure offer. They're talking about Cork.
Cork, yeah.
So, sorry, the one with the best prospects is Cork. I'm not sure I agree with that.
Mm.
Actually, the only candidate for whom money is not an issue is Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. The petrodollars guarantee a fluid organization of the regattas, but the participants look at it with suspicion due to the very hot weather, the restrictions on alcohol consumption imposed by religion, and respect for human rights, particularly that of women. In fact, the director of the organization has even threatened to go to court, meaning the director of the Kiwi organization, former director, to go to court, meaning Jim Farmer. If this were finally the chosen venue, the final decision will be public and official on March 31st, maybe, although it may leak days before. Again, maybe. Julia. Yeah. So I just think this, as I think it's a bridge too far. I think it's a bridge too far for Cork. I think Valencia is out, even notwithstanding this headline, who I think are this paper's trying to gin up a little. Oh, we can't let Valencia get this.
Yeah.
Got to have it here in Malaga. And I just don't see how in the time remaining. It's February 22nd.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it in Malaga. It'd be a great place to go, but not with this time constraint, and maybe with the financial constraints.
They're still talking about how to put together the package, and this announcement's got to be made in a month's time, supposedly, and how they're going to get something together. And the teams are supposed to, under the protocol, to be at the venue a year before. And
I just don't think things move that fast.
Things, especially in Spain, having lived there for 9 years almost. I don't see how it's going to move. That's from Ignacio Ilio. DiarioSur.es is the website. That's that newspaper, Sur. So I assert still that these two gentlemen are, sooner or later, they're going to have to come to terms, and I know there's some number of you don't think they will. And there's increasingly people in New Zealand are telling me they think Daltz, if he can't get one of these other non-Kiwi venues, he's just going to pack up and leave, say, okay, you guys organize this. I don't think that'll happen either. I think somehow they'll come together. I think Jim Farmer, who is a cool hand and a cool head, somehow will help broker a deal. They'll keep Mr. Dunphy well and truly off on the side. But it's the only place that makes sense because of the existing infrastructure, because of the promise already of governmental support, which they will do, because the Kiwis want it there, they deserve to have it there,
yes,
and because of the legal pressures that are going to come from Mr. Farmer and also from this gentleman we keep telling you about every show, Sir Edmund Thomas, Sir Ted as he called, the prominent retired news judge. And one continues to hear that they're about to make, that is Kiwi Home Defense, KHD, are about to make a major new PR push and an offer of some more money to make this thing happen in Auckland. And I can only add to all that with the uncertainty, the increasing uncertainty and apparent problems in Europe, and who knows what's going to happen in the Middle East because of all this. That means Ukraine and Russia. I just think you go back to where it is safe, where it's welcome, where it's loved, and where it's naturally the proper place to defend the cup and your home waters. And I think you're going to be hearing more legally about all that too.
And what a waste. If we're worried about money, I just hate to see it go to court, because that really is wasted money.
It's not going to go to court. The problem is that this thing is going to be Jeddah. That's the only place on offer with money. It's going to be Jeddah or maybe Abu Dhabi, Bahrain. I don't know. The people saying Oman. No, it's not going to happen in Oman. It's not going to happen in Qatar and Qatar. The Jeddah apparently has a deal on the table, but that's going to cause legal problems. Nobody really wants to go there. I don't even think ETNZ wants to go there. So your guess is as good as ours at this point. John Emmett loves it when we speculate on it, but everybody wants to weigh in and talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen in Auckland. Gordon Smith is
really?
Yeah, he's quite certain it's not going to happen in Auckland. In fact, I think he's rather hoping it will not happen in Auckland. He'd like to happen in Europe so he can go spend a lot of time there. Australia is starting to open the borders. NZ won't be too far behind. Go Auckland, Stingray is saying. The lawyers may disagree with you about courts being a waste of money, Julia, John Emmett is saying.
Well, given what, would you like to spend $100 million on a sailboat, or would you rather spend $100 million on the courtroom?
Well, they won't spend that much, but they'll spend 2 or 3 if this ends up in court. Clark Chapin, kind of like we used to say at my former employer, gee, I know that we're a day late, but I have a check here for $10 million. Does that help? Julie, where's Julie Aarons? She's normally on here and defending Daltz. Is she there?
Yeah, waiting for Julie. Oh, no,
waiting
that was you.
For her. Yeah, I'm just strumming up through.
Yeah.
John Emmett, I mean, if I was a lawyer, I'd hope to get the money got spent on a lawyer, not on a sailboat. ETNZ still has their logo on their old base in Valencia. Wet Hog is saying it's a no-brainer. Yeah, but Valencia doesn't want it. Remember, Valencia lost 200+ million euros on that proposition. And that, by the way, is not lost on the administration in Malaga and Cork, for that matter. So
right.
Public money coming out of COVID with all the problems everybody's had. Sorry, folks, I don't see how it's going to happen. I just don't see how it's going to happen. Now, there's a very interesting development here that was announced yesterday. This is still the America's Cup, but I had to run. I was trying to decide what to run with correct or crutonic. And I'm talking with a number of you who pinged me as soon as you saw this news about whether this is correct or crutonic. And I lead in with this little video that they posted. I ran on the show on Friday. And I thought they were talking about launching their hydrogen chase boat, but they were, I think, talking about what we're about to tell you, which is this pursuit of the world land speed record, which they announced yesterday or the day before with this video. Have a look.
In practice, maybe a bit complicated because it's a very different country.
Coming back to the fact we're on a feasibility at the moment. And I'm hearing some good stuff. Feeling more possible. Coming back to the basis, what are we doing in the next 2 weeks that'll get us to this table that says, yeah, and this is exactly. Are you going to write that up?
But I can build a team around that, and even for this summer.
Yeah, it's got to be this many people for this long. This is how, and Sean will tell us how much it's going to roughly cost. Yeah. This is how much design, how much time we use in Guillaume, Romaric, Tim, the whole bag of tricks.
You know, I don't feel like I can sit in here and say, well, 100% go and get that record on that day in that window. So I think, I just hope everyone's realistic that, you know, we're probably the best team ever in the world to have a good shot at doing that, but statistically I think it's not guaranteed. You know?
Exactly, and you know, just for the record, I want to win the America's Cup again as well, Doc. So it's not, I haven't forgotten about it. Don't worry about that. But it's this is a nice little one to hopefully slot in there and yeah, be able to tell our grandkids about.
Growing up in Bendigo in central Victoria in Australia, you know, I used to love mucking around with land yachts and building things as a kid. This has really been a long-term dream of mine since I was a little kid. The fire has been fuel to really put together, you know, a proper package to actually go and have a go at being really, really fast on land with a wind-powered craft. I think it might have taken Richard Jenkins, who's the current record holder, nearly 10 years to break the previous record. And it's not an easy feat. It's something that's a very, very difficult challenge.
You're the man! All right. 126. Wow! Amazing!
We are very tight with our production, really tight. Well, we know that we've guaranteed this way to build you the best part, and that's where we're at. We don't have time to, review another process.
Composite capsule that Lenny's in better survive a crash.
So I made two new refined FEA models to make sure we don't buckle or break in the cockpit or somewhere else. But we are very happy. Yeah. So this is for the work of double, triple checking the stuff. We do it ourselves, and then we ask double and triple checks on time.
This is the safest thing I'll ever start in my life.
Thanks for the compliment.
We've gone from the design table, things actually happening from the production side of things. So the main vehicle body is now under construction. This craft is going to be such that momentum is going to be our friend, and weight helps with momentum. So older techniques here, a bit more of the wet laminate as opposed to a lot of the pre-preg, which we use with our custom America's Cup class yachts. But it's really good to see, some resin and carbon starting to go on the tools.
It's a really useful project to keep the design team going on innovative ideas as well as the production side. while we've got the wing in the air, and there's a lot of similarities to a yacht. Trying to keep the wheels on the ground, keep them gripping well, keep the rolling resistance really low. Those are the real challenges for us. So little information out there about how well tyres grip on salt and the behaviour of them. I don't have a huge amount of knowledge in some of these areas, so yeah, there's a lot of research involved.
We see our job as showing the world we can move without energy that is fossil or electric or whatever. Just think you're driving your car on the motorway, 205, it doesn't look much, okay? Maybe it's okay, you know, many of us did maybe try. But think that you have a 10-meter wing on top of your roof. It will be really interesting to do it where salt desert, like more or less where they did in Mad Max. It's a very fun project, to be honest.
The first time I think that you sheet the wing on a salt lake in a craft that you've sort of been involved with the sort of design and build of, I think for the whole team will be extremely exciting, and there'll be a lot of sort of unknowns that you'll have to learn and tick off. But I think that feeling of, you know, doing in excess of 200 kilometres an hour in a purely wind-powered craft. You know, we've got some extremely clever guys behind the scenes, ultimately all be involved in achieving hopefully something that no one else in the world has ever been able to do before.
Okay, Julia, what do you think?
Well,
200 kilometers kph.
It's an exciting prospect. I just hope they have the money to use it and to advantage.
Well, it's the money in the first place. Let's see what the FOSI think before I may not even opine on this. I'm going to go way back up to the start of these comments, which are, you've all probably been watching them. In terms of safety, NZL is true safest place for the event. Maybe, okay, so they're still talking about there's Jibo. I wonder who Jibo is. Hello, welcome to you, sir, or ma'am. John Emmett Nenza needs to open up. This is a cool, okay, Gordon Smith was the first comment on this. He's saying, cool project. This is correct with an emphatic capital K, correct in the German spelling, which I'm now using. It's hard to select one correct or Croutonic segment for each show, what with there being so much Croutonicism afoot in the world, Clark Chapin says. Wingrove, this is why they need the big payday to pay for their toys and new money-making ventures. I think this must be one here, as I'm reading between the lines on their press release and talking to one or two or three different people in New Zealand. I think Matteo Denora is fully jazzed up about this. As you can tell, obviously, Glenn Ashby, Julia, is jazzed up about this as well. So I think Matteo's probably helping to fund this. I think they really want to go after this. I guess they're going to sail in Australia. And I have some more news and pictures and so on, courtesy of Richard Gladwell and Sail-World, but we'll get to in a future show. Chris Exley, the Sailing LSR is a really cool project. As they say, it exercises the organization's skills quite well. Pedro Foiling Sailor replying to Stingray, New Zealand is way behind Tasmania. Stingray, you're dreaming. If you can think politically, they will change. Ask Russell Coots. Yeah, I think Peter's right. John Emmett, Tom, what are the plans for the big 500? Well, we'll get to that. Question, how does spending any resources on this project assist in the goal to successfully defend the America's Cup? And that is my concern, Clark Chapin. I didn't talk to Clark about this. I know the long-standing world speed record Blake Middleton is saying was 143 miles per hour. John Buckstaff on Lake Winnebago, Wisconsin in 1938. I only went 100 miles per hour with Buddy Melgus in 1980 on an ice boat. Deanne on roller skates, Alan Long is saying. Yep. Okay, a lot of comments here. You guys go back and read comments replying to Blake Middleton. Dan Buckstaff was an All-American sailor on my team at Stanford, he says, when he was coaching Stanford. Stingray, super cool project. I may even rent an RV and hit the outback with some binoculars and enjoy campfires out there come August. Yeah, they're well down the track, so to speak.
Yeah.
On this, they're building the boat. NZL has won 2 cups, Chris Bulger saying, and should have won SF. By focusing an integrated rapid design team, this project keeps it all rolling. It is correct. Most of you say it's correct. Ted Ryman, great stuff. I want to drive that thing. One here, Steve Gruber is saying it is funded from largely outside ETNZ.
That could be too.
Okay. Bunch of Santa sailors. Chris Watts, Chris, other comments. It keeps everyone under contract so they don't get picked off. John Sangmeister saying, yeah, I think that's probably a big part of this. Super cool project. John Sangmeister saying, Godspeed, Repine Clark Chapin, perhaps Stingray, but couldn't those resources be better applied elsewhere? That's my concern, and I guess if you look historically at when America's Cup teams, any of you, and a lot of you are knowledgeable on here, tell me when an America's Cup team went off and did a big education project, did a big some other kind of STEM something project, and didn't focus all of their attention and energy into winning or defending the cup. Julie, you're shaking your head, yes.
Yeah.
Tell me a time when that happened, when somebody went off and pulled off a big deal other than the cup and still won. I think it's a huge distraction for ETNZ. I think it's a huge distraction. I'm not worried about Glennie, or that came out Lenny, but Glennie, Ashby getting hurt. These guys are a bunch of smart, very cool guys, and it gives them something to do for the rest of this summer. But they got to be designing and building a boat. But maybe they already know that the cup is going to be delayed to 2025. Do you think that's a possibility? That's
of course it is, but I still keep thinking about the poor guys paying the bill, waiting.
Well, you have to keep your eye on the ball 24/7. Bill Wingrove thinks it's Crutonic. Rob Fry says it's down in Auckland or down in New Zealand. He says this is Leonard Takahashi. Definitely correct. Keeping the team employed with objectives in mind. And Stingray is saying Mateo is the one funding it, keeping designers and builders employed. Chris Bulger, shutting down the design team is analogous to telling your sailors to stay off the water for 2 years. Yeah, okay. And yeah, we're going to go to the Caribbean 600. I've got the tracker up here, and I've been watching it during these videos because it is very close, both in the monohulls and the multi-hulls. We'll go to that here in a sec. Last comment on this, and then we'll move forward. It's almost a clever rule cheater since nobody can sail anything anytime soon, but ETNZ has had this plan since September already. Good point. Well, we'll see.
Why?
I have my doubts about, I think they could have found other ways not to be distracted. Now, okay, let's go look at what's going on here, because here is, I'm going to get rid of this for a second. You can see on the graph, probably a lot of you are looking at it on another screen, but the leaderboard in the multi-hulls, Argo has just finished. They have just finished, as has Maserati, and Argo finished first barely. What was the delta?
A minute, sort of.
I can't really see here on this. Corrected elapsed 1 day, 5 hours, 38 minutes. Oh, yeah, a minute, it looks like. Corrected elapsed. Okay, now let's go look at the monohulls, because the monohulls have not finished yet. But likewise, Scorpios has been leading most of the race. They have 162 nautical miles to the finish. Just DTF there, the second column, distance to finish. And Comanche is behind them only less than 10 miles, 171 nautical miles DTF, distance to finish. So that is kind of cool too. Great race. I have not talked with Andrew McIrvin, who's I'm sure plenty busy, but they're coming around you can see the multi-hulls have finished. I can't put that up on my pointing screen, but in the middle of the slide, you can see where they're going into Antigua, and the multi-hulls have already finished 2 of them. And the monohulls are where going up that last leg over off to the right, right? Monohull course record. Yes, you can see that white boat on the right on the leg going to the northeast, and that would be Scorpios, I believe. Okay, cool stuff. We'll watch that going forward. Meanwhile, we told you on Friday, this is Tuesday, I have to keep reminding myself, there were developments taking place over the weekend in Wellington. They shut things down pretty well in Ottawa with that dictator up there. the Prime Minister, and Russell announced that he was going. Sir Russell Coots would be the freedom fighter, and he was going down there. And that's what it looked like. Yesterday, Monday, there was a polite but good celebration and a freedom festival. And one of the local reporters caught up with Sir Russell, and here is the video.
All right. Kia ora, everybody. This is Russell Coots. We've been waiting for him today, and he's finally here. So blessed to have him here. I'm just running, Russell. Could you introduce yourself, or you don't really need to? Russell?
Yeah, no, well, I'm just happy to be here. You know, just had my meal, which was fantastic. Nice.
What did you have?
Oh, not vegan meal. So that was good.
Are you vegan?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I've been
vegan?
Yeah, I've been that way for since 2012.
Wow. Okay, so tell us, why are you here? Why
I just, like a lot of people have gone through a lot of hardship, haven't they? You know, with these, with the mandates and everything, and I just came down to see it for myself. Some of my friends have been here, so just wanted to come down and, basically see it, talk to people.
Tell us about some of what you put on your post about how you feel, and coming down here. Have you managed to walk around, or? Yeah,
we've been taking a bit of a walk around, but basically, for me anyway, we've all enjoyed a great, situation growing up where New Zealand probably is one of the, I think, unique places in the world where kids can enjoy real freedom, and I just don't want that lost. I want it here and for future generations, for my grandkids, for their grandkids after that. Freedom's precious. You can say, oh well, it was only a couple of small things, but in my regard, it was, or my opinion, it was pretty significant, really. And a lot of people have been really badly affected. They've lost their jobs. Kids have been, victimised because of their choices or their parents' choices. And it's just, so unnecessary. So, in my view, anyway. So that's why I'm here.
And so, tell me something, Russell. What do you think are some solutions to what is happening between government and the people down here?
Well, the government's got to look at it, and factors have changed in the last even 5 weeks, and they keep saying that they're going to drop things, and they keep talking about their information, but in actual fact, there needs to be a lot more critical review. I think the good thing that could come out of this, hopefully, is that there'll be better processes in place that won't allow politicians in the future to effectively change the New Zealand lifestyle, and enforce, what they might think might be well-intentioned, for all I know, but I think we need more protections against that as a society, because the New Zealand way of life is really something to be cherished, and I think we ought to act to protect that.
So tell me, Russell, just where to from here? What do you think what would you say to the people who have been camping here for days?
It's obviously hard for them, but I'm impressed with first of all, the number of people and the extent of it. It's kind of portrayed in the media as a few hundred people for a while, and it's definitely not that. There's a lot of people here, and there's a lot of people with a real passion about what they believe, and I think that's a good thing. It's not. There's all sorts of all walks of life here. In a way, as tough as this whole situation's been, it's probably, we're hopefully going to probably come out of it well.
Okay, that goes on, and if you want to watch that, it's on Facebook. On this, the gal's name is, who's doing the interview, Leao. I don't know how to pronounce it. Leo Tildesley, Tildesley, and that's an outlet called the New Zealand Daily Examiner. She obviously just grabbed Russell, and as Stingray, thank you Stingray for this link, who's found it on Facebook, sent it to me, came across it, And he says the next 7.5 minutes after this becomes quite interesting because it gives you a feel for how many people were there and what's going on. But I admire Russell for putting his, going down there and saying what he thinks and thinking what he says. I know a lot of you don't agree with him, not everybody. Mark Curtis says government is a committee full of antagonists. It'll always be behind the curve. Come on, TE, why are you playing this? Larry Herfindahl doesn't like what Russell's doing, I guess. Steve Gruber, I didn't like him saying that some children have been victimized by their parents' decision. Isn't that how parenting works? Ryman is saying, well, Cindy, meaning Jacinda Ardern, the PM, is going to lift this very soon. And replying to Stingray, it's all political, saying everything but saying nothing. But it's interesting, there's people think that maybe Russell's got political ambitions in the future. Julia, do you think?
I don't know. It's not an unreasonable conclusion, but who knows?
Rob Fry says we won't have the heater until Friday. I don't know what that means, the heater. What's that mean, Rob? Okay, well, Russell Coots is inserting himself into the Kiwi politics. Wrong chat, Rob Fry saying won't have the heater. Oh, he's talking to somebody else. He put it up. Rob did. He put up. Good thing it was only about the heater and not about something else, Rob. Okay, Russell, interestingly, there's one more bit of news here, and this is why we play these things, Larry Herfindahl, because, it has implications for our sport, for SailGP, for the America's Cup. Today, in the New Zealand Herald, there is an article, an opinion piece, headline by Chris Shannon, 5 reasons why we should stop knighting sports people. And I don't have the full text of the article. It's being sent to me, but she goes on to list reasons why these sports people are not and should not be given this kind of visibility, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
And by knighting them, they go out and they go to things in Wellington and stir people up. What do you think?
I have no idea.
I think it's great that they knight sports people and anybody else who makes major contributions to society. And you can agree with them or not. John Emmett says 100%. He, Russell, wants into politics. John Philip Cadwallader is saying, I love what Russ is doing. So we'll see. We'll follow this and we'll get the rest of that article from today's New Zealand Herald, that headline and that opinion piece soon. Now let's go back down to the Caribbean for just a couple of videos and wrap up here. This is a picture from 2 years ago, not from the start here yesterday. The start was Monday. Was it Monday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. And we ran this slide and this graphic on Friday. Show a spectacular fleet of 75 boats ranging from the 32 feet up to 125 feet. We'll take the start of the 13th edition of the 600 nautical mile RORC Caribbean 600 on Monday, yesterday, the 21st. And that's a picture. They didn't have the race last year, but 2 years ago. And what a beautiful place that is if you've been. The course, as you probably will remember from if you were with us on Friday, it starts here in Antigua. They go up and around. There's a buoy off Barbuda. It's an inflatable. It's not a government mark. It's actually the race committee sets it. They go out and around and through Saba and St. Bart's and St. Martin, back down here, around down here, Guadalupe and back, and then they come back up to that that inflatable buoy, turn out around Redonda, and then come to finish back off of Fort Charlotte in Antigua. That's the course. That's where they're now. If we go back to, there's the race tracker, which is superb. And again, the first couple cats, the trimarans have finished. And in the monohulls, Scorpio's still 153 nautical miles to go. I have to get up close and personal with my computer screen down here to see that. And we'll be following that. But Bravo Zulu to the RORC, to our FOSI, Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin, who's down there and officiating and helping to keep things moving ahead smartly. And what a terrific guy. He'll hopefully give us a report on Friday on what's going on if he's not already back in the UK, or even if he is back in the UK. I didn't pester him today because of all this other stuff that's going on. One of your favorites, Julia.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Dr. McIrvin. So Bravo Zulu, now we have some videos to show you. One is a pre-start promo video. It's brief, that the RORC put out yesterday.
she was launched in 2008, so she's technically a generation and a half, second generation boat. But then I've really changed out a lot over the years. Put on a new bow to her, new bowsprit, new mast, new keel. Only thing that's left original on the boat, other than the hull, is a pair of pad eyes. So you know, it's had a lot of upgrades along the way.
It's going to be quite tactical and it's going to be quite tricky because our boat is one of the newest and it goes fast, but the legs are so short that we cannot make the best of it. And the older boats have better compromises, like for example VMG downwind and stuff like this. And it's all going to be about, you know, brilliant tactics, brilliant strategy, doing the proper maneuvers at the right time. It's going to be every maneuver, every corner is going to be decisive.
Well, it's always been on the bucket list. I wrote it down in a notebook about 5 years ago, and you write down, you know, the Fastnet, the TJV, and the Rourke 600. So I'm pretty excited to be here. I'm classically trained in trade winds. Our sail changes have gotten significantly better now that we've been training for the last 2 years together. So I know it's going to be tough, but I'm more excited than scared, for sure.
I love the video. I think they are doing a superb job, the ORC is, and we have the breaking news from Steve Atkins. Thank you, Commodore. The Mod 70 Argo takes the multi-hull line honors and breaks the race record. Jason Carroll's American Mod 70 Argo crossed the finish line in Antigua to take multi-hull line honors at 17:18:44. So that's just a few minutes ago on Tuesday, Tuesday the 22nd. So congrats to Jason Carroll and to the line honors and their new race record. 26 hours and change. Gordon Smith is confirming, just a little over the day. They started noon, I think it was yesterday. Yes, Comanche is in the race. And Comanche is standing second to Scorpios. In the monohull, she's about 9 miles back, according to what I see there on the chart. I think my, so it's not completely clear, I think, because I'm running my computer screen that is on at 720p, so it syncs up with everything on here. We have another video. That was the pre-start video promo that they did a couple days ago. This is the after the start video from yesterday. Have a look. Julia, you got a bravo Zulu to the
Yeah.
RORC, and a lot of you are saying what fantastic boats and sails. Wow, great video. Mark Curtis, Stingray.
Absolutely.
I mean, bravo frigging Zulu to the RORC to put that kind of a race together, given everything that's going on in the world. And by the way, the question about what flag, Comanche's out there. What flags? Yeah, Christopher Gillingham, bravo Zulu to the RORC media team as well. Stunning work.
Yeah.
And I think Stingray asked, what flags are they flying? Well, what countries are they representing? And both Scorpios and Comanche are Russian owned and flagged. I don't know if they're flagged, but they're Russian in the registration sense of the word. But they are representing Russian, and they are Russia, and they have Russian owners. So you wonder why we focus in on some of this other stuff that we do, Ukraine and Russia, because it is going to have implications. And if these sanctions that Putin put on, and if they go further than what they've already done today, the West is maybe going to do, it may impact on them and the crews and everybody else. Who knows? We don't want to get into all that. But bravo Zulu to the bloody RORC, just terrific.
Yes, it was really gorgeous stuff.
Bingo Russian, Stingray is saying. Yeah, I think Stingray is using the Socratic method, Julie. I think he knows the answers to the questions before he asks them.
Yeah.
Scorpios has Monaco on the mainsail, yeah, but I just looked again, and they have Russian. You can see there's Russian flags. And then there's Leopard, which has what, a French flag, I guess it is, or is it a Dutch? Not sure. On that boat. And by the way, somebody asked about let me see here. Molly, you've asked about power play. They are standing third, firmly ensconced in third. Power play is 32 nautical miles behind in the multi-hull line honors. Okay, well, that gets us to the D block, and we'll wrap this one up with a couple of funnies. Julia?
Yes.
No finger wagging, I don't think is necessary today. I think these are all pretty lighthearted.
We need to be a little lighthearted these days.
We do indeed. This from our good friend and FOSI, Christiane Price, down in Oz. The people suffered minor injuries when their smart car they were traveling in hit a grasshopper. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. Thanks, Christiane Price. Thank you for that. Now, after we did that thing with Aaron and Blake the other day, several of you sent me, I don't know where you found this video, but several of you sent me this next video of ice boating, snow boating in Michigan. And of course, they all know I'm from Michigan. I've never seen anything like this. I hope I never see it again.
Oh!
I don't know if that's ice boating in Michigan, Julia, but
Snowboating.
Snowboating. It's Crutonic, whatever it is.
Yes.
Finally, this came from Stingray, and I think he's not talking on his own behalf. He's talking on his girlfriend's behalf. My fantasy is having 2 men at once, one cooking and one cleaning.
What a good idea.
Julia, do you agree with that?
I do.
That is proper ice boating, Jonathan Frank is saying. I think that is proper Crutonicism in my home state of Michigan, where the basketball coach is in trouble, but the hockey team is doing well. Thanks, Stingray. Thank you for sending us that. We hope all of you enjoyed the show. We have one request from a FOSI, and this should be easy to find, but this request here at the finish line comes up from a FOSI who didn't want to be named, but they're trying to track down. You know what boat this is? Beautiful shot by Gilles Martin Raget.
Yeah, well, it's a Aussie.
It's a J-boat.
Aussie J-boat.
Now it's a British J-boat. K. In the old days, when K meant the kingdom, that was the and KC was Canada, KA was Australia, KZ was New Zealand.
Oh, that's right.
They are looking for the J-class yacht K4, which is Endeavor, built for the 34 Cup, almost won the 34 Cup, probably the closest any challenger has ever come, other than, you could argue about 2013 here. And of course, the Challenger did win the Cup in 1983. But prior to 83, Endeavour, a TOM Sopwith yacht, and the beautiful Jules Martin Roget shot, people are wondering where that yacht is. And maybe we have to get our investigative reporter on that one too, get Mark Orton Reed to give us a look, try to track that down, because we do have a FOSI wondering where that boat is and if it's in good shape or not. We don't quite know what's going on with J-Class yachting, but we'll see. Soon see. Julia?
Yes. This is another good one to ask your friends to like, follow, and share.
This was fun. I enjoyed this show a lot. I hope you did. Comments are welcome too, even in replay. Those of you watching in replay, as many of you do, support us if you would please on Patreon. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Give us a few bucks a month, as many of you do, which keeps the heat and light and internet funded here at the Beach Street Yacht Club in our studios. A reminder that on Friday we will have Rodion Luka with us, who I don't know if he's going to be back in the Ukraine. Ukraine, they don't call it the Ukraine anymore. It's called Ukraine. Ukraine, as we say auf Deutsch.
Yeah.
But Rodion will be with us one way or another. I certainly hope. He said he would be live via Skype on Friday. Julia, last word?
Everybody keep good spirits and positive thoughts.
Indeed. And as we close in on our 500th show, we'll tell you about that maybe on Friday, what the plans are for the 500th show. But it's, you know, it's just a number. It's business more or less as usual. And thank you, because we appreciate so much all of you watching the show, and especially now, I said to Julia this morning, we're getting a fire hose of content coming in via the FOSI, so much so that I can't. And now we've got not just John Emmett, but others making content for us, Mark Orton Reed. And it's just,
it's good
Peter
stuff.
Taylor and others. Gordon Smith has made a video segment for us, and we appreciate it. Indeed, we appreciate it very much. As you know, we don't use a script. I don't use a teleprompter. It's just we wing it.
Yeah.
So if we're a little loosey-goosey, well, we are, and it's not going to change. So thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Hope to see you on Friday. In the meantime, if you can, sail fast, sail safe, have fun.